Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's Monday Night Football game between the Bucks and the Rams. I'm going to do my Major League Baseball offseason predictions, recap last night's episode of Dancing with the Stars, and my best bet of the day. First, we'll start with the NFL. In what was another down-to-the-wire game in primetime. And this time around, it was the Rams that defeated the Buccaneers 27-24 as the Rams improved to 7-3. The Buccaneers drop to 7-4. Jared Goff, 39-51, 376 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Tom Brady, 26-48, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Next up for the Rams, they are playing at home against the 49ers. And next up for the Bucks, they're playing at home in a big spot in that coveted 425 spot against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Jim Nantz Tony Romo special. So you can make a case that the Bucks were looking ahead here a little bit to that Chiefs game. And the Rams have a big division game coming up against the 49ers. And you know the 49ers are going to try to get up for that game, even though they're pretty much not in the division race anymore. And it's a division game. You always see these teams, they're not so good, be competitive in division games. So, even though the 49ers beat the Rams a couple weeks ago, I mean, would it really stun anybody if the 49ers did it again? Even though this time they're down Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle and Nick Bosa? Maybe. I don't know, but it wouldn't stun me if that game is more competitive. And then the Bucks and the Chiefs, boy, I think everybody's expecting that to be an all-timer because it's obviously the reigning Super Bowl champions against the best quarterback of all time. So that's going to be a really, really fun game on Sunday afternoon next week. And both those games are in the 4 o'clock window. Now I'm going to do something that I've promised you guys for a while, and that is the Major League Baseball offseason predictions. I don't know how specific I'm going to be in terms of these predictions from a contract standpoint and from a trade standpoint of like what teams can get back for assets. But here we go. I'm going to start with the AL East. I'm going to start with the Orioles. My offseason prediction for them is that they're going to trade Jose Iglesias, and that's assuming that he is not a free agent. I'm going to look at that real quickly. If he's not a free agent, then I am going to predict that he is indeed trade bait. As of right now, he is a Baltimore Orioles, so I'm going to predict that he is traded during the offseason to a team that needs some middle infield depth. The Boston Red Sox. I saw a rumor about this the other day, so I'm just going to stick with it. I think they signed J. Happ to, let's say, a 2-year, $25 million deal. They're in desperate need of pitching, and I think that Happ, amazingly, would be an upgrade in that rotation. The New York Yankees. They're a team that I think is under a ton of pressure this offseason, considering how their season ended. They need pitching, and they need to re-sign DJ LeMahieu. I'm going to predict that the New York Yankees, the safer bet, you know that they're going to go get pitching, and DJ LeMahieu, I think, is their biggest priority. Last offseason, their biggest priority was going out to get Garrett Cole. I think they're going to meet their priority again. I think they re-signed DJ LeMahieu and then I think DJ LeMahieu takes a little bit less so he could stay on the Yankees and try to win. So I'm going to say that DJ LeMahieu signs with the Yankees on a 4-year, $80 million deal, and the fourth year as an option type of thing. They'll overpay him, but he's DJ LeMahieu, and he was an MVP finalist for a reason. The Tampa Bay Rays, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say that they trade Blake Snell. There's a lot of rumors out there that they're open to dealing Blake Snell. I don't think they want to pay Blake Snell. They had that issue a couple years ago, in case you have forgotten. The team that I think that will acquire Blake Snell this offseason will be a team that has yet to replace a certain pitcher that walked in free agency. That, my friends, is the Houston Astros. And maybe Kyle Tucker goes back to the Rays in the deal, maybe not. But if the Rays can get Kyle Tucker or somebody of that nature, I think that is a win. And that's like if they traded him to the New York Yankees and got Clint Frazier back. That's something like that as well. But I'm going to say that he gets dealt to the Houston Astros. The Toronto Blue Jays. My prediction for them is that they will acquire a starting pitcher that will help their rotation along with Hyunjin Ryu and Tanner Pearson. And I'm going to say that the pitcher they acquire will be New York Yankees, former New York Yankee, or soon to be former New York Yankee, James Paxton. And I think he could slide right in there and be a number 3. And I think there's a chance they overpay and give Paxton a 3-year, $40 million deal or something like that. Maybe larger than that. I could see Toronto doing something like that for Paxton to be their number 3 starter. And we'll move on to the American League Central. I think the most interesting team in that division is the Cleveland Indians, but we have to start with the Chicago White Sox. They are under pressure to do something in the offseason. And I'm going to say they bring back a former White Sox that they traded a couple years ago. And that, my friends, is former Yankee, or soon to be former Yankee, I believe he's a free agent, Tommy Kahnle, who is recovering from Tommy John surgery. And now the Cleveland Indians. I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say that they trade Francisco Lindor. I just think that there's too many rumors out there, and I think this is the year they finally do it. He's going to be a free agent after the 2021 season. And I think there's a team that is motivated to do something big. And that team is the New York Mets. Steve Cohen's first big move or big trade as the New York Mets owner. Sandy Alderson back with the Mets. I think they're going to go for it, and I think they'll get Francisco Lindor in there to be their starting shortstop. They need a bat after the Robinson Cano suspension. I don't think they believe in Ahmed Rosario or Andres Jimenez. I think one of them goes in the trade. Maybe both go in the trade, and then they could package the other one in another trade. Yeah, I'm going to say Lindor to the New York Mets. Next up is the Detroit Tigers. That's a team that I think is in dire need of offense. I think that their pitching, I believe that they like what they have pitching-wise. I think they're going to still try to deal Matt Boyd. And I think the free agent that the Tigers will sign is Didi Gregorius. Because I just think they want a veteran in there that is a good two-way player And I think that that's where Gregorius will land. Next up is the Kansas City Royals. I think that there's a team that is still aiming towards the future. And I think that they are going to trade Salvador Perez finally. And there's a team that I think wants to try to win around its superstar and its manager that is used to winning but is coming off a losing season. I'm going to say Salvador Perez to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And I don't know if the Angels will give up one of their good prospects like a Joe Adele or something like that. Maybe like a lower tier prospect. Next up is the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, I think, are a team that can use some bullpen help. And a pitcher that I think would be a solid fit there is Athletics closer, or soon-to-be former Athletics closer, Liam Hendricks. So I'm going to say Liam Hendricks to the Minnesota Twins. To the AL West, we're going to start with the Astros. I think that that's a team that is in need of a makeover. I think that there's a shot that George Springer goes elsewhere. And the player I think that they'll sign to somewhat replace him, I'm going to say that Jackie Bradley Jr. goes to the Astros. I don't know if he will be starting for them or will be a fourth outfielder for them, but that's my prediction. Next up is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I'm going to say that the Angels will I have them acquiring Sal Perez, and I think they want to go out and get a starter. And I think they're going to bring back a familiar face. I think they bring back Garrett Richards. Next up is the Oakland Athletics. My prediction for them is that they bring back Marcus Semien. He is a beloved teammate there. Bob Melvin loves him. So I'm going to say they bring him back. The Seattle Mariners. I'm going to say that they continue to blow things up and start from scratch. And the next player out the door, I'm going to say, is somebody that had a really good season like 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that this player can use a change of scenery. And I think that player is Mitch Haniger. I think they trade Mitch Haniger, and I'm going to say they deal him to... Let's say they deal him to the Rays. I could see the Rays doing something like that to try to go for the change of scenery guy. It didn't work out with Hunter Renfroe. They DFA'd him. And I can see them pulling off a trade for Mitch Haniger, and they can send back some lesser assets over there. Maybe Willie Adames goes to the Mariners in that deal, because they're going to want to trot out Wander Franco at shortstop next year. And there's one more team in that division that I'm missing. Oh, the Texas Rangers. I think that the Texas Rangers love to be big spenders. I think they're happy with their pitching staff. I think they're going to bring back a former familiar face, Nelson Cruz, to be like a DH outfielder type of guy, veteran that can come in and help them hit home runs. So I'm going to say Nelson Cruz back to the Texas Rangers. The National League East. The Atlanta Braves. I think that there is a shot that they could represent the National League in the World Series in 2021. I think they want that piece to put them over the top. I think Marcell Ozuna's out the door, and I think they want a big name in there. And I'm going to go very bold here. George Springer to the Atlanta Braves. I think they give him like 5 years, 120 or something like that. And I think that Springer on that team with all those guys there, like Acuna and the young kid Pache. Can you imagine an outfield with Pache and Springer and Acuna? That's just nuts. Next up is the Miami Marlins. I think that they want to do something big because they want to prove everybody that 2020 was no fluke, and I think they're looking at position players. I'm going to predict that they sign Michael Brantley. I think Michael Brantley would really help the Marlins and that young team. They could use another bat in that lineup. I think that Kim Ng wants to do something big and make a splash. And Michael Brantley's a pretty big name. The New York Mets. I predicted a big splash earlier in the podcast. I'm going to predict another one. I think they're going to sign away JT Realmuto from the Philadelphia Phillies. I think that Realmuto is somebody that is most definitely the best catcher in the game right now. He's going to get the biggest contract ever for a starting catcher free agent, and I think that Steve Cohen and company will give it to him. And the Mets adding Lindor and JT Realmuto, I think, would make them favorites in the NL East next year, along with the Braves. Next up is the Philadelphia Phillies. I have them losing JT Realmuto to the New York Mets, and now they're in need of a catcher, right? One of the better backup catchers in the market available. I'm going to say that they signed James McCann to replace Realmuto. McCann's not bad. He was the best backup in the league last year. Or I can see them signing Austin Romine, and Romine can reunite with Joe Girardi. I know there's talks about them pulling off a Gary Sanchez trade. I don't think the Yankees want to trade him because they know that his value is not as high as it should be. So I think the Yankees keep Gary Sanchez around, at least for one more year. So I'm going to say James McCann's the catcher that Philly signs to replace JT Realmuto. The Washington Nationals, I think, are under pressure to do something because disappointing season last year. You didn't even see Steven Strasburg last year. They lose Anthony Rendon. So they're in dire need of a bat, right? I'm going to say, I know Washington wants DJ LeMahieu, but I'm going to say they signed Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna is a good player. I think he stays in the NL East and goes to Washington. He plays a little outfield and he will be their DH. So I'm going to say Marcell Ozuna to the Washington Nationals. So it'd be him and Robles and Soto and Ryan Zimmerman. And so that'd be a fun acquisition. Marcell Ozuna to the Washington Nationals. The NL Central. I'm going to start with the team that I think is under pressure to shake things up, and that is the Chicago Cubs. They are a team that David Ross, year 2 as a manager. Theo Epstein resigns. That's something I barely even talked about in my podcast, if I didn't mention it at all. Theo Epstein, it's a surprise to a lot of people. I think 2020 has been the year of unexpected Chicago resignations and firings. If you ask me, you saw John McDonough of the Blackhawks resign. You saw the Bulls guys get fired, and now Theo Epstein resigned. So Chicago, the theme of Chicago has been the year of unexpected retirements and resignations and firings. So add Theo Epstein to that list. And it's going to be interesting to see do they promote Jed Hoyer? Do they bring somebody else in? It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I think they really want to shake things up. I think they're going to make a trade. And the guy that I think will be the odd man out in Chicago, I think that the guy they trade is Chris Bryant. And the team that I think wants to go out and get him is a team that will lose a big name free agent this offseason. And that team, the Philadelphia Phillies. They lose JT Realmuto, and then I have them signing James McCann as a backup. And I think they can pull off this trade without giving up Alec Bohm. Or maybe they do give up Alec Bohm. And I could see Bryant playing left field. Or I could see the ideal scenario is acquire Chris Bryant, have Alec Bohm plays first, and you have Rhys Hoskins at DH. That's the ideal situation for Philadelphia. But let's see if they pull that off. The Cincinnati Reds. I'm going to say that they make a trade. They had a disappointing year last year. They may lose Trevor Bauer in free agency. I think that they trade Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray traded for the second time in 3 off seasons and the third time in a 4-year span. And the team that I think will acquire him will be a team that I think could use some starting pitching. They had lost a starting pitcher for next season, and that, my friends, is the San Diego Padres. And I think that they really may not give up much of big-name prospects at all. Maybe they might have to give up one of them. We'll see. But, yeah, I'm going to say Sonny Gray to the San Diego Padres. Next up is the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm going to keep the trade train going. I think this is the offseason where they finally trade Josh Hader. There's a team in the American League that I think is upset with how their season ended. They want to go out and try yet again. And I'm going to say that the team that gets him is the New York Yankees. They have some young pitching depth that I think they could trade, like a Davy Garcia or a Clark Schmidt, and some other prospects they can deal. They don't have to give up Jason Dominguez, and they could pull off a Josh Hader deal to make that bullpen even stronger, because their bullpen quietly got worse last year. Tommy Kahnle got Tommy John surgery. They didn't re-sign Dellin Betances, but Dellin Betances on the Mets this year stunk. So, yeah, I'm going to say that they pull off a trade for Josh Hader. Next up is the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I think that they also pull off a trade. And I think that they're going to finally trade Josh Bell. Josh Bell's a really good player. The Pirates are obviously rebuilding. They have some guys in their system that I think could be their first baseman of the future. And the team that I could see going out and acquiring Josh Bell, a team that I think wants to win now, a young team, I'm going to say it's the Toronto Blue Jays. They could use a first baseman, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think Justin Smoak's a free agent this offseason. Is he? If not, then he could be a DH or they could trade him. Maybe they trade him to Pittsburgh in this deal, but yeah, Justin Smoak's oddly not on this list of free agents. So I'm going to say that Justin Smoak will not be the first baseman of the Toronto Blue Jays in 2021. And I'm going to say that the team that acquires him is acquires Josh Bell's Toronto Blue Jays. We have breaking news, actually. Charlie Morton is signing with the Atlanta Braves. So breaking news regarding the offseason. I was going to predict Charlie Morton to the Cardinals, actually, but I guess not. I almost predicted a Adam Wainwright retirement, but instead, now that Charlie Morton went to Atlanta, I'm going to say that Adam Wainwright returns for another year. That's going to be my Cardinals prediction. I'm going to say that they bring back Adam Wainwright for one more year, and it's his last hurrah. The NFC West, the NL West. I'm going to start with the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that had a very disappointing 2020. Guys just were underperforming and all. And they're a team that I think wants to try again and go for it again. And I'm going to be the crazy person here. I'm going to say that that's the team that signs Trevor Bauer. I'm just going to go on a limb. Nobody expected them to sign Madison Bumgarner last year. And I think that they want their pitching staff to be deep. Their offense, I think, needs some improvements as well. But I think that they have some guys in-house that I think can bounce back. So my bold prediction, Trevor Bauer to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Madison Bumgarner, Zach Gallen, Trevor Bauer. Isn't that something? The Colorado Rockies. I think they finally pull the trigger and trade Nolan Arenado, and I think they trade him to the reigning world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Dodgers give up some good players that they have. Maybe Gavin Lux. Maybe they give up somebody of that caliber, not Dustin May. I think they gave up Gavin Lux. My conspiracy theory is that there's a reason he barely played last year. I don't think they're high on him as they were a while ago, so I think he goes in that trade. I'm going to say that Dennis Mitchell goes in that trade, and some other prospects too. So Dennis Mitchell and Gavin Lux, I think, will be the headliners. And heck, I won't be shocked if the catcher's thrown in there as well. I forget his name. I'll think of it in a second, because I'm going to predict another Los Angeles Dodgers trade for my Dodgers prediction. I think the Dodgers will acquire another big name player other than Nolan Arenado. I think that they want to defend that title. And I think a guy that can really help them in 2021 is a reliever that I think is available via trade. I think they're going to go for Josh Hader, but ultimately the Yankees acquire him. Another reliever that I think could potentially be had is someone that needs a change of scenery in my mind is Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets. But I don't know if that's the guy that they're going to go out and acquire. But I'm going to say it's somebody that we didn't see last year because of a suspension. His name's been in trade rumors in the past, and he's been linked to the Dodgers, and that is Felipe Vasquez of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think that's a team that it was going to try the rebuild and go for that Astros-Cubs style rebuild. I had them trading Josh Bell away, and now I think that they will trade away Felipe Vasquez, and then they get Keibert Ruiz and a couple other nice prospects in return. So Keibert Ruiz to Pittsburgh in a Felipe Vasquez Dodgers trade. Next up is the San Diego Padres. We talked about them earlier. I have them acquiring Sonny Gray. And I think that they want to go out and make a splash in free agency. Kirby Yates, Tommy John surgery. I think that they bring back a familiar face. I'm going to say they bring back Brad Hand. It seems like the Indians and Padres always mix up players. And I'm going to say that they get another one here in Brad Hand. 4-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal. I think Brad Hand would be a good Dodgers pickup too, but I'm going to say they deal for Felipe Vasquez instead and give up the surplus of catching they have because Will Smith's clearly their catcher of the future. Although his defense is suspect, he's pretty much the National League's Gary Sanchez, Will Smith. But I'm going to say that Brad Hand back to the San Diego Padres, maybe a 3-year, $50 million deal, maybe less, maybe 3 for $48 or something like that. And last but not least, the San Francisco Giants. I think that they're a team that needs offense more than pitching. I think that some of their guys are getting older. I think they signed the versatile Tommy La Stella. I think that'd be a good fit for San Francisco. He could play multiple positions, and he could DH too. So I'm going to say Tommy La Stella to the San Francisco Giants. And now, guys, I didn't get to here. So I'm just going to go through the list again. Marcell Ozuna, I have him to the Nationals. DJ LeMahieu back to the Yankees. Trevor Bauer, I'm going to say Arizona. Nelson Cruz, Texas. George Springer, I have going to Atlanta, who just signed Charlie Morton 1 year, $15 million. Nice deal. Cole Hamels, they had as that 1 year guy last year, didn't work out. He got COVID and got hurt. Or did he have COVID? I feel like he had COVID. Maybe I'm mistaken. He got injured, I know that. But I think Morton in Atlanta is a great fit, and I think he could put up really good numbers and could have a better year than he did last year with Tampa Bay. So now Tampa Bay has a hole in their rotation. Cesar Hernandez, I'm going to say that he goes back to Cleveland. JT Realmuto to the Mets. Rick Porcello, I could see him going to Tampa Bay to replace Morton. And they can take a flyer on him. I could see that working out really well. Rick Porcello with the Rays. Kevin Gausman, I'm going to say that he goes back to San Francisco. I have James McCann to Philly, Jackie Bradley Jr. to Houston, Didi Gregorius to Detroit. Jonathan Scope, I'm going to say that he goes to a team that could use middle infield help. Maybe he'll go to the Mets to replace Cano for this year. I could see that. Or they could put Jeff McNeil at second. That's probably the more realistic thing. The Todd Frazier's back with the Mets too, so they have some depth there, and I think they pull off the Lindor thing. And then their infield next year, Todd Frazier, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, and Pete Alonso. That's ridiculously good. And then Dominic Smith is your DH. But Jonathan Scope, where could I see him landing? I could see him going to the Marlins as like a veteran guy. I could see him going to the Cubs. Yeah, let's say the Chicago Cubs. I could see them dealing Chris Bryant and Javier Baez at shortstop. Maybe they put David Bodie at third or something like that. So I could see Scope going to Chicago. Liam Hendricks I have to the Twins. Colton Wong's a free agent. I'm going to say that I could see him in Boston. I really can. Like Jeter Downs is I think another year away or so. I could see Colton Wong 1-year deal with the Red Sox. So I'm going to say he goes there. Michael Brantley to Miami. Jurickson Profar. That's a tough one. I could see the Yankees taking a shot at him as like a utility guy. So I'm going to say, yeah, Profar to New York. That's a good one. Justin Turner's a free agent. Obviously, he had COVID during the World Series and somehow still played. And then they pulled him in Game 6. I think that he walks from the Dodgers. I could see him going to Chicago. Justin Turner. And I could see him going to the other team in Chicago, too. The White Sox. That's a tough one for me, Justin Turner. I'm going to look this up. Justin Turner. So, I'm going to say that Justin Turner goes... That's a tough one. I could see him going to the Marlins, too. Yeah, why not? I'm going to say Justin Turner to the Miami Marlins. I think that he could help them. Robbie Grossman, I think, goes back to Oakland. Tommy La Stella, I have to San Francisco. Marcus Semien back to Oakland. Brad Hand to San Diego. Kevin Pillar. That's a tough one. I could see him as an Atlanta Brave, as like a depth piece. Adam Wainwright back to the Cardinals. And Drew Smyly, I think he's signed already. I think somebody signed him already. With Atlanta. So he's on the Braves already. Kevin Gossman signed already too. Where did he go? Oh, he took the qualifying offer. I didn't know that. Charlie Morton just signed with Atlanta. I would have predicted him to St. Louis as my crazy prediction. Mike Minor, I think, goes to Tampa Bay. Actually, no, I have Rick Porcello to Tampa Bay. I could see Mike Minor back to the Rangers. Yeah, why not? Mike Minor back to the Rangers. I'm going to say Rick Porcello to Tampa Bay. Mitch Moreland, I could see him going back to the Boston Red Sox. So I'm going to call that. I think Masahiro Tanaka goes back to the New York Yankees. And any other intriguing free agents? Trevor Rosenthal, I think, will go back to the Padres. Rich Hill, I could see the Yankees taking a shot at him as like the Jay Happ replacement. Maybe 1-year deal for Rich Happ to the Yankees. I'm going to say that. That's a good one. Taijuan Walker, I could see going back to the Mariners. I think Brett Gardner goes back to the New York Yankees. And Drelton Simmons is interesting. I don't know where he goes. Alex Colom's a good reliever on the market. I think that's someone I could see the Dodgers going after. Tommy Hunter, I think, goes back to Philadelphia. Freddie Galvis is a good free agent, too. Joakim Soria can help somebody, too. So there you have it. Free agent predictions and some trades, too. And now I'm just going to go through every team real quickly and see somebody I can see traded. Tampa Bay, Blake Snell, as I predicted. Yankees, I could see them trading Clint Frazier for a pitcher. Red Sox, I think, I won't be shocked if they traded like JD Martinez to clear some salary. I think there could be a National League team that could use him as a DH, assuming that the DH thing stays in play for next year. Baltimore, I predicted a Jose Iglesias trade. Toronto, I could see them potentially trading one of their young guns to try to make the splash in that. And that splash, I think, could be Josh Bell, as I predicted earlier. Maybe they do trade Kevon Biggio in that deal. Now it entice Pittsburgh. Cleveland, I think they trade Lindor finally. White Sox, I could see them potentially trading one of their pitchers. Not Giolito or Kopech, but maybe like one of those younger guys that came in and stepped up for them this year. And their value could potentially be higher. So, White Sox, a guy that I think they could potentially trade in the offseason could potentially be Dylan Cease. And then they could maybe go out and acquire like a bigger name pitcher. Maybe they go out and sign Trevor Bauer. But I have Bauer going to Arizona. Minnesota, maybe they trade Byron Buxton or Miguel Sano. Well, they have value. Who knows? But I doubt it. Maybe one of their pitchers. You never know. I could see the Royals potentially moving Sal Perez, as I predicted. Detroit, I think, can move some veterans as well. Matt Boyd, Michael Fulmer. Houston, you hear rumblings that they could trade Carlos Correa ahead of his free agency. If they do that, maybe they want to re-sign George Springer. Oakland, you never know with the Athletics. I think they're the big wild card every year. I could see a world where they trade some of their young starters for a bat if they lose Simeon. Like an AJ Puke or something like that. The Mariners, I predicted a Mitch Haniger trade. The Mets, I could see a world where they flip Edwin Diaz in a change of scenery deal to potentially in a package to get a bat. Maybe they deal. I'm going to predict Edwin Diaz goes in that Lindor deal. I'm going to call it right now. I think Edwin Diaz goes in that Lindor deal. And then Philly, maybe Alec Boehm if they want to go out and get Chris Bryant. Miami, I think, can trade some of their guys to maybe in a package, like an Izan Diaz maybe. Washington, I don't know if they'll trade anybody. If anything, maybe somebody like Victor Robles and maybe in a package for a bigger star. Atlanta, maybe Austin Riley I could see potentially. I talked about Chris Bryant already. Maybe Kyle Schwarber. St. Louis, I don't see them really dealing anybody. Maybe Matt Carpenter. If they want to get something for him. He's a good utility player. He can play anywhere. I think Josh Hader's dealt. I predicted that on the show today. I think Josh Bell's dealt. And I think Sonny Gray's dealt. And then the NL West, I said Gavin Lux in the package for Nolan Arenado, so that's two NL West teams. Arizona, maybe they trade one of their bats or one of the catchers, like Carson Kelly. I could see a world where they trade one of their young catchers so Dalton Varsho can start. Or they trade Dalton Varsho. You never know. And then San Francisco, I don't see them trading any of their young players or pitchers. It'd be wise if they traded Mike Yastrzemski while his values aside, if they seriously want to go into a rebuild, but I don't think they want to go in that direction. And in San Diego, maybe they finally deal Will Myers. Maybe Will Myers goes... Yeah, I'm going to say Will Myers goes to Cincinnati in the Sonny Gray trade. So Will Myers plus some young players for Sonny Gray. So there you go. Off-season predictions are done. And now I want to talk quickly about the KBO. The NC Dinos won the KBO series, the Korean series. It took them 6 games as I predicted. They won 4-2 this morning to finally get it done. And then I talked about the series after 2, and I said KBO series would be NC in 6, and that's how it happened. Doosan won game 3, 7-6 on Friday. Saturday, the Dinos won 3-0. And then the Dinos won game 5 yesterday, 5-0, and then they closed it out today with a 4-2 win over the Doosan Bears. It was fun following this league during the COVID peak and while baseball was gone. And it's good to see that they completed their season. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they had some fans in the stands at the end of the season, which was very good for that league. So congratulations to the NC Dinos. Aaron Althair, a former Major League player on that team. Koo Chang-moo, Na Sung-bum, Drew Wasinski, former Major Leaguer. Yang Yu-chi, some of their good players there. Mike Wright, former big leaguer on the Dinos. So we'll see if the Dinos, some of their players come to Major League Baseball. That'd be very interesting. And Lee Moing Key is another one as well. Alrighty, now we'll do Dancing with the Stars. Interesting show last night. We're going to go through the dances first, and I'll go through the results. Caitlin and Artem did 2 dances. An Argentine tango to Britney Spears' Toxic. So the couples performed their favorite dance of the season in a freestyle routine. And then their freestyle was Sparkling Diamonds by Nicole Kidman. And both of those dances got 30s. Nelly and Daniela did a samba dance to Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge and got a 27. And their freestyle was to Savage by Megan Thee Stallion and Hypnotize. And that's by the Notorious B.I.G. So, it was like a combo song, Savage by Megan Thee Stallion and Hypnotize by Notorious B.I.G. That got a 30. Nev and Jenna did the Paso Doble to Swan Lake remix by Distinct 78, or District 78. And Singing in the Rain by District 78 and got 30s on both of them. And Singing in the Rain was the freestyle. Justina and Sasha did a Cha-Cha-Cha to Respect by Aretha Franklin and got a 30. And then their freestyle was the Let's Get Loud by Jennifer Lopez and then Bambaleo by the Gypsy Kings and got a 30. So it was like a remix. And your winners for this season were Caitlin and Artem. So Caitlin Bristow of The Bachelorette and Artem Shigvinstev were your winners. Your runners-up were Nev Schulman and Jenna Johnson. Nev Schulman is the host and producer of Catfish. Third place was Daniela Karagach and Nelly. Obviously, Nelly's the rapper and singer. And your fourth place was Sasha Farber and TV actress Justina Machado. So, a fun season. It was fun covering this show. And there really hasn't been word yet if there was going to be a spring season. And if there is, we'll cover it on the podcast. And no best bet for today because there's no sports on, unfortunately. But tomorrow there will be a best bet since college basketball's back. And tonight, my college basketball season predictions podcast will drop. So keep an eye on that. And then tomorrow we'll recap preview college basketball, college football for Thanksgiving, NFL for Thanksgiving. You'll see the first of my Turkey 20 picks, where I'm going to do 8 NFL picks and 12 college football picks. So the 2 college football games and the 3 NFL games for Thanksgiving will be 5 of them. And then 5 Friday college football games, 5 Saturday college football games, and 5 NFL games from a variance of Sunday and then potentially Monday as well. It could be 5 Sunday or it could be 4 Sunday and a Monday. So we'll see how that works out. And I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.